We're going to St. Vincent de Paul, Father Joe's village, and we're going to meet Deacon Jim, the guy that runs it. Hi, Deacon Jim. I'm Tony Rodriguez.
Nice to meet you. Nice meeting you.
The task force is developing a 5-year plan to end homelessness. It seems in other cities that that's been a hard pill to swallow. A lot of changes have to be made, and are you on board with the plan when it comes out in June?
Well, I'm looking forward to the plan. Focus Strategies is building a framework for the plan, and that framework is to be released sometime this month. And then they're going to work on the plan. The indication is that the plan will be finalized and then presented next year. So the plan is going to be almost a year in the making, as you can imagine, because there's a lot that goes into. First of all, they have to come in, assess the situation where we are, especially as a city. Every city is different, and then look into alternatives and changes that have to be made and so forth. So I just want to put it in perspective as far as timeframes are concerned. As far as whether I would accept the plan, I look forward to seeing the plan, and I look forward to embracing it. We need here in San Diego. We have the 4th largest homeless population in the U.S., the 2nd largest veterans population. I mean, and people know that, right? Our point in time count, year to year, just went from 8,692 to 9,116. We're definitely going the wrong way, and so we need to do something about that. And one of the dynamics that's at play here, and you probably know, Tony, here in San Diego, is the lack of housing. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what individuals need. They need housing. They need some type of dwelling. And we're tied, I think, with LA as far as the lowest rental vacancy rate, and it's about, a little over 2%. They're about 2.5%, I think. And so that means no sooner does an apartment come on the market, but it gets scooped up. You couple that with the fact that we have one of the most expensive rental markets in the United States. I mean, on average, a 1-bedroom apartment is about $1,800. So those two elements combined is very toxic, especially for the population we serve, those who are on the streets. And so that's part of what needs to be tackled within this plan. The fact that the introduction of affordable housing into the market, that's going to be key. Because you can have different types of other interventions, such as emergency or interim type of beds, transitional and so forth. And we have all of those. We Father Joe's Villages, because we've been at it for 67 years. So we have all those other types of interventions. But we know that at the end of the day, unless you have the dwellings, permanent type dwellings in which to place individuals, where they're going to wind up, again, Tony, they're going to wind up back on the street, right? Because they can't stay in these other temporary interventions forever. So I think that will be a key element within this plan. And so it's how our community as a whole embraces this, because it's change. Change is hard. And how we embrace it, and not only how we embrace it, but also how we fund it.
Obviously, we need housing, but then there's other changes that the plan is going to ask of nonprofits. What do you anticipate those might be?
Well, there are a few, I think, that come to mind, Tony, and there are probably a lot of others, but there are at least a couple right off the bat, and that's one. And when we talk about housing, different types of housing. So if you talk about transitional housing as an example, we were one. Like I said, we've been at it for 67 years, and initially all we were was transitional housing. 100% of what we did was transitional housing.
Really?
And over the years, that's been changing for us, because we've seen the dynamics that are at play, whether it's the type of population that's out there that's homeless, and also funding sources. I mean, we have to react to the market, and so and the need out there. And so now, the amount of transitional housing we have is about 18% of our entire. I mean, it's a lot less than we used to have. And we also have affordable housing that's in the mix, and permanent supportive housing that's in the mix. And I think to your question, I think what the providers will be tasked with is doing more of the affordable, permanent type of housing and supportive housing than has been done in the past, and less so of the transitional housing, as an example. And that's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard for more hard for some providers other than others. But I think that'll be difficult. But as I mentioned before, I mean, I think that's going to be key in order to be successful here. And the other is, there's diversion. Diversion, there hasn't been as much focus on that here in San Diego. And, just getting to people before they actually fall into homelessness, all right, or if they're just falling into homelessness, what can you do that is something that is short, to the point, effective, and can either keep them from falling into homelessness, all right? And there are various things in that regard, but I think on the diversion side, we have to have more focus there.
Yeah, that's true. And you guys do a wonderful job too. Without you there, homelessness would be a lot more visible.
Well, I'm blessed to be here. I think there's an incredible staff, and they do a wonderful job. And we're not the only ones. There are other service providers out there, and that's the key. The key is that it can't just fall on one service provider. Really, it's all the service providers coming together, and not just the service providers, Tony, but even the community, right? The residents and the businesses. Because another obstacle is the NIMBYism. Not in my backyard, right?
That's right.
And it's that aspect of it as well. And it's just coming to the realization that, hey, a lot has been done, but we're not there yet. And let's come up with a plan that we as a community as a whole can work towards, so that then we're marching to a logical common end that will really address this issue.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the coordinated access system and sharing of information with other nonprofits?
I think that's going to be critical. I think data and data management in general is extremely critical. First of all, you need to know what the problem is, right? Yes. And the only way you know about the problem is by being able to determine and looking at the pieces of it. And data collection, so that you with each and every single client, you see what the situation is. So first of all, you collect all that data, and the data is only good if you're going to utilize it, right? And you utilize it constructively. So it's collecting that data, not just for one client's purpose or one service provider's purposes, but really so that you could share it, so that when that client maybe goes to another service provider for whatever reason, that service provider has the benefit of knowing what's happened to that client to date, because they can factor that into the whole thought process and being able to implement strategies for that particular client that would be more effective than if they don't even know that person has already tried different methodologies and it hasn't worked.
Could you tell me more about the process of coordinated access?
Sure. What we need to do is we need to make sure that when someone comes into the system, that we try to get them through the process as quickly as possible and into a dwelling. And that's why, as an example, I think the focus will be less on transitional housing than it has been,
That's
right?
Smart.
Because the transitional housing means that person has gone into a system for an extended period of time. It's try to get them to the housing as quickly as possible with the support that they need.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want anyone to think that it's a matter of assigning housing to an individual and then walking away, because that's not going to work, okay?
No.
But so they need to have all that support that they need in order, whatever it is, I mean, whether it's as far as mental health is concerned or substance abuse or whatever it is, education training, there's a lot that goes in so that they can retain that housing and they never fall back onto the streets. So the process to your getting back to your question on process, the process is extremely important as it moves along.
We heard that you have a proposal for adding permanent housing, a lot of it.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We're excited about it. We've been working on it actually now as a management team and as a board actually. We've been working on it for about a year. But there was a lot of legwork that had to be done before we made it public. We made it public about 2 months ago at a press conference. And what we will be doing, and get in keeping with what I was saying before, and the recognition and the realization that we need dwellings at the end of the day. We've introduced a campaign, we call it the Turning the Key initiative, turning the key, right, on that door. And it's going to be rolled out during the next 4 to 5 years, because it is a big endeavor. And we will be rolling out 2,000 permanent housing units basically into the market. Part of it will be in the downtown area, about 760 units, and then about 1,240, so 2/3 will be outside the downtown area. And some of them will be studios, some 1 bedroom, some 2 bedrooms, because of course we're accommodating women and children, families, veterans, seniors, singles, and so forth. In aggregate, we hope to house about 2,500 to 2,800 individuals because, again, not all of them will just be studio apartments. And we're excited about it. It's a big endeavor. It's a $531 million endeavor. Now, Tony, the good news is that we've identified already 75% of that in existing public funds. All right, so 409 million of it we've identified in existing public funds, and what that means is not that we have the money in the bank. I wish, but that we know that there are programs out there specific for this cause, and it's a matter of having a viable plan, and we have a viable plan, and going after those dollars. Now, that's the good news part of it. The other is not that it's not good news, but that still leaves 122 million that we have to raise in private philanthropy. So we depend on the community to come together to do this. And we've been working with Chelsea Investment Corporation, and they're a developer. In fact, we've worked with them for 20 years as far as affordable housing is concerned. And they're great at it. They're very highly regarded and respected. So they're the ones who, we've looked at financial models and what really is viable and what can work, especially in this community. So we're excited as could be. We're at the beginning of it, though. All right, and there's a lot of work to be done. I'm happy to say that we're under contract for the first motel. Well, I didn't mention that part of this will be new construction, and part of it will be the acquisition of motels that kind of need new life breathed into them.
That's good.
And then they will, and we'll acquire them and refurbish them. So the new construction obviously is going to take a while, but we're already we've entered into a contract with for the first motel, and we're in the due diligence period. And God willing, if everything goes well, we'll move to closing, and then we'll refurbish it, and maybe you can be with us at that ribbon cutting. That would be great to have you there.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. I never knew that. I didn't know you were.
We're really excited about it.
Just sincere thank you for what you do for San Diego and San Diego's people, keeping them fed and off the streets, and you do a wonderful job. Everybody can do better at whatever we do. You do a wonderful job. Without you, it would be terrible.
Well, Tony, I appreciate you saying that, and by the you, I don't take any of the credit for it because it really belongs to my team. I'm just blessed to be able to be here, we're blessed with a good team, and I appreciate everything they do on a daily basis. There's a lot more, as you say. There's a lot more to be done. We can't, it doesn't. Last year we housed. We were able to find permanent housing for 828 individuals.
That's amazing.
Which is, it's a nice number, but there are thousands on the street, so there's a lot more to be done. But I'm encouraged about being able to really find that solution that's out there, right, to keep people off the streets, and either through diversions or through programs that are effective for them. So I thank you for taking the time with me today. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I didn't think that they would be as flexible as Deacon Jim talked about. He's all behind the plan. He knows there's going to be some tough changes he has to make, and he's willing to do it. I found him to be a pleasant guy, and I think that he does care about the homeless population. He's thinking ahead for the future. They have all these units, all these houses that they're building for permanent supportive housing, all on their own. It was good. I was happy to hear that. I think it's important what Father Joe villages do. Without the shelter, homelessness would be a lot worse here. But having said that, it's not for me. Transitional housing, it's not for me, and it's not for a lot of people on the streets. The rules and the regulations and all the things that you have to do to be in those programs, it's just too much. I was really happy to hear him talk about the permanent housing that they're building, and that's exciting. That's something that does interest me, and I think a lot of other people.